Hey, this is Notser, and this is Untitled. This week, we're going to be discussing my stream challenge that I did, starting at Tier 1, going all the way to Tier 10. How well do you do? We're also going to be discussing October. What does that mean, Notser? October. Well, I'll tell you. And finally, I want to talk about cruiser balance, because it's awful right now. So, the stream, what are you talking about, Notser? Tier 1 to Tier 10? Yes. Play Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5, go all the way up to Tier 10. What was your win rate? Well, my win-loss was 2 and 8. Yes, that's a 2 and an 8. Now, I announced this. It's very obvious. If you play Tier 2, you're going to go to Tier 3. It's on a stream, so inevitably there's going to be players that join you and are maybe playing against you more often than not. One or two of them absolutely is going to use the stream to their advantage. It's just some people cannot accept that they will be a better person if they themselves use the information that they can perceive in a match and confirm it later, obviously, with the stream information. They have to use the stream to either look at the minimap, see the deployment, have a general idea of where people are leaning. This is in all these games, all these streamers, it's always happening, and that's not the only reason why we went to an 8. I think that's a very small percentage. Maybe 1 or 2 games of the 10 was negatively influenced by extra information on the enemy's team. What caused most of the losses, I would say, is being low tier. I was, no joke, bottom tier in 7 of the 10 games. Absolute bottom. I'm not talking mid-tier. I'm saying absolute bottom tier. 7 of the 10 games. And obviously, Tier 1 and Tier 10, you cannot be bottom tier. Same with Tier 9. Oh, what do you have there? Yes, that's how bad it was. Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5, Tier 6. That's how bad it really was. We got a win at Tier 5 in the Arpeggio Congo. We worked our butt for that one, though. And I think we got a win just because the enemy team played it poorly in another game. But most of the games were absolute blowouts for the enemy team. And that's really frustrating, right? Why does an absolute blowout occur? Well, I felt like my team just went and killed themselves. It would be 5 minutes in the match, or 10 minutes in the match, and I would see a ship deficit of at least 3 ships. You can't do that. You can't throw your ship away, or we would lose all our destroyers very quickly, and it's just a cascade effect from there, right? You can't lose your destroyers. Anyone who's been playing the current meta right now knows it is dominated by battleships, and those are dominated by really good destroyer captains. There's like 1 or 2 token cruisers playing the game right now. Bless their little hearts for playing the game in such a top-heavy dominant. I mean, we got torpedoes over here. We've got giant caliber guns citadeling you over there. It's a very dangerous game, and I made the mistake of pulling cruiser, I think, 3 times. But most of the games, they were just absolute blowouts. So I'm curious, how was your weekend? Because that was my weekend with the anniversary event. And for anyone who's not familiar, anniversary quotation is this weekend for World of Warships, or was. Obviously, it's not a real anniversary. Free-to-play games never have a real anniversary anymore. They always soft launch. They get people comfortable paying or supporting, and then they just say, oh, it's live. It's been live for like 6 months. All you're doing is defining it as live. You're just saying magically it's live. You're not adding any features. You're not changing the economy at all. You're just saying it's live. So it's not a real anniversary, but the rewards are you get dragon flags. And dragon flags are really, really, really high commander XP. So it'll help you get your commander up to level 5 or level 4, get the concealment, get the manual secondaries, and have fun with those ships. I'm, of course, making full use of it, and you're going to get more rewards, I believe, this Monday or Tuesday. I'm not 100%. Depending on how many tier 10s you have, how much games you've played, that sort of thing. And I will absolutely be spamming any commander that I care about leveling up with these flags. But 2 and 8, yeah, 2 and 8 sounds like just a joy, right? At least the stream enjoyed it. You know, we had some Notsers pulled. We got to kill some people that, oh, Notser, he smells bad. Oh, man, that hurts my feelings so much. And we got to play against a lot of people who enjoy the content or are really kind. So I really appreciate all the support. You are the reason why I can put up with going 2 and 8. I don't really care about that. I care about the chat having fun, talking about whatever. Hope you do too. Now, October. What's happening in October? Apparently, the British cruiser line and the Japanese destroyer line is scheduled to come out. Not at the same time. Quote, quote, quote. What does that mean? How do you release content and not have them come out roughly at the same time? Aren't they going to come in the same patch? Are you going to have one just not enabled? What is going to happen? What's my feeling on it? Well, I bet you I'm going to be able to test the British cruiser line very close to the release date, and it's somehow going to screw up my schedule to where I have to do a ton of crap in a short amount of time. I just know it. I just know it. Having spent time with wargaming products, this is what they do. They do something, which is fantastic, but they don't inform people that this stuff is happening until it's like the day of. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you advertise this stuff? Why don't you give time for people to understand it? I just don't understand. And that brings me to the North America versus EU clan war that was going on. Now, I had some people that I knew that partaked in it, and that they didn't particularly like it because they were just fillers on random press accounts with no names, so no one knew they were on it. I chose not to participate, partly because I didn't appreciate how little time was given to me. They basically said, oh, you guys can join us if you want, the day of. No, that's not how it works here. I am not someone who is just immediately available. I actually have a schedule. So, what I heard was that there was a lot of smoke. A lot of smoke. And a lot of team play around the smoke. And what counters smoke? Well, radar. And what's wrong with radar? Well, probably the two weakest lines right now are the radar lines. The Americans and the Soviet. They are not particularly impressive top to bottom. They do need to rebalance, and the American line especially is just awful when you compare it to the Japanese or the Germans. They've done some great changes to the German ships. It really does feel great leveling up all the way through the German cruiser line. Same with the Japanese. The Japanese are great. They've fixed all of the minor issues I've had with the Japanese line, and I think they're great as well. But, oh no, not the Americans. And some of the Soviet are a little annoying to use. They're a little too tall in the water. They're a little slow on the rudder. It's really difficult to succeed when you have great big battleships and giant torpedoes coming your way all the time. So I would love to see some changes to cruiser gameplay. They're almost a dying breed. I found that most of my games during the stream, there was maybe two, and they were honestly wiped out almost immediately. It's just too easy to kill people. And, you know, I noticed something funny. A cruiser, if he was perfectly broadside, would actually take, on average, less damage than if he was neutral with his bow or stern. Because if you're neutral and the shells hit, it's not going to overpin. It's not going to only do 10% damage. It's going to hit other compartments, and it's going to do the 33%, which is a significant amount of damage. And that is more consistent, in my opinion, at times, on a cruiser than getting and hoping for that single citadel that will wipe them out. Now, of course, citadels are great against cruisers, but there's really nowhere to hide as a cruiser. It feels like every single angle is really easy for the battleship to hit, no matter the range. And the destroyers, they don't have the range to really get in close to the battleships. So it's a little weird right now. I think cruisers should obviously be near the top on population. How do you do that? Well, I think economy is a great tool to fix all of these things. If you encourage people to play based on economy, then you'll find they're less inclined to be upset about a balance issue if you're balancing it by economy. So I think that's one of the first steps they should make. Basically, if you're a cruiser, you should take almost no repair cost. It would just be almost free to pull to keep people interested in playing. Now, that's not the only solution, obviously. I think another great solution would be to try and give them some protection from the battleships. I don't have a problem with them being spot out by destroyers, them fighting the destroyers having to pull back. I have a real problem when there are 4 or 5 battleships and they can just wipe out a cruiser like it's nothing. Overwhelming firepower, great accuracy, great players, that's what they do. With the armor information, we know exactly where to aim, and it's really obvious. So that's been my weekend. 2-8, excited for October, and I really feel like cruisers, they need some lovin'. It's been a while. Wargaming hasn't answered their text message or called them back. So, 2-8, can you do better? How was your weekend? Was it about the same? October, are you excited for October? I certainly am. And cruisers, what would you change about cruisers? There are a lot of things I'd like to change, but I want to hear from you before I really go into detail about it, and that might be a video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.